Hello, welcome to Name Flicks. I am Nate, you are you, and we finally, at long last, have our first look at Scream 5. Well, actually, I think it's just called Scream, unfortunately. We already have a Scream. Don't do that to us. I don't know if you're being meta and making fun of Halloween and the fact that we now have 3 films called Halloween, but alas, this one so far is called Scream. But I'm going to call it Scream 5 today. We are going to react to the Scream 5 trailer, and we're going to break it down. I'm going to show you everything that I see, everything I'm getting from this. I'm going to spitball some ideas, come up with all this conjecture about what may go down in Scream 5 for you. Hopefully you find it entertaining. If you do, go ahead and subscribe because I've already got some Scream videos on the channel where I've ranked the Ghostface killers to this point. I talk about the 10 things that I want to see in Scream 5, good stuff like that. And then in the lead up to this film, we'll be doing all sorts of more Scream content. But today, we got a trailer to talk about, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's hit this trailer in 3, 2, 1. All right. Set up scenario where it could be Amber or it could be the most obvious red herring. You never know. All right, awesome. We got the voice of Roger L. Jackson back. You need that. That is imperative. That is part of what makes Ghostface iconic. That is the voice we all know and love. But also, could this be the opening to the film? Could this be the opening sequence? This feels like a nod, a look back at what happened with Drew Barrymore in the first Scream film. So let's see what happens to Tara here. Oh, all right. Light is not wasting time.
Doors unlocked.
Okay, updating.
All doors locked.
God damn, girl, you live in a safe house? Oh, nice. Great shot. Great shot. Okay, love that. I really do believe this is going to be the opening. I love the way that Ghostface looked there. He looked menacing. He looked tough. He looked terrifying, a little bit more imposing than we sometimes think, because sometimes he's a little bit too clumsy. He's tripping over himself and he's getting manhandled by teenage girls. Here he looks like a problem. Here he looks like a force, and I love that. I love that they have the updating to where she has this really intense, like state-of-the-art security systems where all the doors can be locked remotely. I myself don't have that type of budget. You know, that's not my current security program, but hey, I believe it's out there. I could see somebody having that type of thing. Maybe comes with some sort of bundle, and that's why she still has a landline. But I love that they're updating. This is something that works for modernity. That's nice. And again, it really does feel like a callback to the first film there. When you see her grabbed by the ankles and she's kind of like reaching for the door, it feels very much like Drew in the first Scream film when she's reaching for her family and they can't hear her because her vocal cords have been severed. Really nice stuff so far. I'm feeling this, but don't worry. I don't think they gave too much away because we've seen images already of this character. And from what I know of her, she has a sister who I believe is the older sister. And we see that sister in a hospital. So you could throw out there at this point that maybe she's just very badly injured. Somehow she survives this attack. We don't know yet. And then she's going to receive a visit from her sister in the hospital. So this so far is not too spoilery. Yes, when we see the film open up, if this is the opening sequence, we will know that it's about to go down and this girl is in for a really rough, bad night. But we don't know if she's going to die right here, right now. At least not yet. But all right, let's go ahead and continue. Our girl.
It's happening.
Our guy.
So far. Do you have a gun?
I'm Sydney Prescott. Of course I have a gun.
All right, I love that. I'm Sydney Prescott. Of course I have a gun. Of course you do, because Scream is very grounded in realism. If you went through all the shiznit Sydney Prescott has been through, you would have a gun. And also, if you were the most kick-ass, well-rounded final girls of all time, then of course you are equipping yourself and you are ready to go to combat. That is why she has had the edge on so many different Ghostface killers, is because Sydney is one to be reckoned with. And then poor Dewey here, you can see that he has fell on hard times. I believe that we're going to see him and Gail be divorcing this, which makes sense for their on again, off again thing. It really does mirror what's happening in real life with the actors' relationships and all the highs and lows they've been through and where they're currently at in life. Also, that was an interesting aspect of Scream. So I think it's great that the franchise is going to continue that, but I'm loving what I see here. Sydney is bringing that confidence, that strength, that strong female lead type of energy that we know and love her for. And then Dewey, it's going to be interesting to see what happens here with him. Do you think Dewey will make it out of this film alive? I don't know. I think one of the big three has to die, and it could be Dewey. He could have a really nice, somber arc here, the way they're setting him up. All right, let's go.
Something about this one just feels different.
Nice.
I know who you are. I've been through this a lot.
Yes, you have.
This is your life now, which means that whoever this is going to keep coming for you.
Oh, good shot. Like the shadow shot.
You ready for this? Never.
All right, I felt classic. Good chase. There's you-know-whose house.
There's certain rules to surviving.
All right, great. And there we referenced the rules. Here, Dewey is kind of assuming the role, and he's explaining the rules. We all know and love that aspect of Scream, that it is meta and that it kind of skewers the slasher, whole thing. It tells you the rules, it tells you what usually happens, how you should protect yourself, what you should and should not do. I love that they are retaining that element and that they are still going to hopefully explore it, because we've heard from Kevin Williamson and co. that no, that's all going to be thrown aside. We're not really worried about doing that with Scream in the modern age, but you have to. Those are the bones of Scream. That is what Scream is made upon. So I don't necessarily believe him. I think there's some gamesmanship going on there. So when you hear Dewey saying something like that, I think it lends credence to the fact that no, this is still a Scream film, and we're going to pay proper respects to what Wes Craven built, and we're going to get meta up in here.
We're all on people related to the original killers.
All right, I'm going to stop it right there again. Real quick break once more. So everybody who's being hunted is in some way related to the original killers. Well, that's interesting. We know that Billy's gone, but there's a lot of belief that Stu is still out there. And it was originally in one of the sequel scripts that he would come back and that he'd have sort of a cult following going from prison, and that he would orchestrate and mastermind this whole plan on Woodsboro once more. So maybe we're doing a little bit something like that. I know a lot of fans are wanting that. I know we're going back to Stu's home in this, and Kevin Williamson always had those intentions, but there were script leaks and things like that, so he had to use that plot and let Kevin Bacon show the following. But hey, maybe now he can finally dust it off and put it into a Scream film. As far as suspects to this point, we saw Amber's name in the beginning. That seems a little bit too obvious, right? To me, that's probably a red herring, although you can't rule anything out quite yet. Sometimes it's really obvious because it actually does take people off the scent. We saw the guy looks a little bit like a greaseball. I'm going to assume that he is related to Billy. So I don't think he'll be your killer. It's a little bit too much on the nose. It's also a little too boring to just make Billy a killer, to make his mom a killer, and then in yet another film have one of those relatives be a killer. I think it would be overplayed. It would be overdone. So again, I'm calling red herring on that. Then we got 13 Reasons Why, kid. And this is where it gets interesting for me, because maybe. And now maybe it seems too obvious, but I don't think you'd bring in this character, or bring in this actor, this one who's probably more known than a lot of the other young actors in the cast, and you want to give him a substantial role. It doesn't mean he has to be a killer, but he could have a really satisfying arc where he starts off as a douche and at the end has to sacrifice himself, or plays a little bit of hero, sees, the brighter side of things, stops being such an asshole, something like that. Or maybe he is a killer, because I also believe that this killer is named after Wes Craven, and I don't think you would name just any character after Wes Craven. You got to pay respects to the man who built this franchise, the one who gave us Scream 1 through Scream 4. These movies we love so much, these movies we quote and rewatch all the time, these pillars of our fandom. You have to pay him proper respect, so you can't just give him some side character who doesn't matter and doesn't mean anything to the plot. So he's either going to be a hero or he's going to be a villain, but I think that Wes character is going to be very important.
Whatever his link is to our past, it's pulled us all back here.
That's Sheriff Hicks.
And I won't sleep until he's in the ground.
He's in the ground. Ooh.
Hello, Sydney. It's an honor.
Nice. All right, great way to end the clip. Great way to end the trailer there with the "Hello, Sydney. It's an honor." That's a nice little punch there at the end. But I also love how kind of brutal and honestly intimidating this Ghostface is compared to some of the other versions of the Ghostface killer. Like I said, you're used to seeing him kind of be a little bit of a goofball and tripping over his own feet and falling over furniture and all these things, to where it'd be parodied in the scary movie films. I'm not seeing that so far in this trailer. I'm seeing him stomp on people's knees and break their legs and things. I'm seeing bloody knives. I'm seeing him stalk down a hallway and look like he does not give a single F. He does not care that Dewey's approaching him and putting bullets in a gun. And I kind of like that new angle because we got new, fresh things, right? And I don't know if modern audiences are going to be as into a clumsy killer. So I think if maybe one killer could be that way, but I think at least one of our Ghostface in this film is going to be a total badass. And I think he's going to have a high body count. So I told you in the past, I did a video where I ranked Ghostface to this point. Maybe the Ghostface in these films are going to fare really well. Maybe I'll have to put them in my ranking and insert them somewhere high. You know, I don't think this is a Charlie or a Roman or anything like that. I think this is going to be a Ghostface we actually like and one that has a hell of a body count. One who's out there and he means business, or maybe she means business. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on today's trailer. What do you think about it? What are your takeaways? What do you think of all these ideas that I'm throwing out there? Do you think I'm way off base, or do you think maybe I touched on a few things that may go down? Be sure to let me know down in the comment section. If you are new to the channel, please hit subscribe if you enjoyed this video and you are still here, because I promise I'll try to keep giving you great content. Other than that, I hope you have a fantastic day. I'm Nate for Nate Flicks, and that's a wrap.